Brocades is really unique in the sense that what most people don't understand when they get into it is you're doing something that you did when you were in your mother's womb. That's where they came from. When you're in your mother's womb, you're doing all sorts of funny little exercises. you're doing all these things. And it is, in essence, Brocades, because the backstory here is Taoism is not ever about going forward. It's about going back. Let me try to explain that a little bit better. In learning these things, what you're trying to do, when you read Taoism and they talk about things, the simple one is, Lao Tzu says, can you attain the pliability of an infant? He's asking you the question, can you do it? He's not telling you you can, he's asking. And that's a big difference because it's up to you. So lots of things happen to us as we grow older. Things that we don't even, let me put it this way. When Taoism, they were great observers. So one of the things they did, and I'll just do this about breath. One of the things they observed is when you're in your mother's womb, you're doing embryonic breathing. You're inhaling to draw all the nutrients, every blood, everything from the, through the umbilical cord. And when you exhale, you're pushing out all the bad stuff. Well, hence the idea of embryonic breathing. Now, let's take that a step further. As you come out of your mother's womb, and you basically they hang you up and smack your ass, and then you're like, and now you're in after heaven. Now you're breathing. Now you take it in this way. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's how you stay alive. But then as we get older, as we start to, we get through adolescence, things, our breath is pretty much, watch an infant breathe. Go to their little crib and you'll see them in there, and it's all from their lower abdomen, and they're doing embryonic breathing. And they got nice rosy cheeks, nice rosy hands, they're warm. They got the breath right. But now comes life. Life. And as we do this, now, we become a teenager. All of a sudden, things like how stupid our parents are come up. The big A, sex, teachers, chores, all these things give us anxiety. And our breath starts to rise up. That gradually, as we get older, what happens is, you can look at most people in their 40s, and they're breathing from their solar plexus. Even though they think they're breathing deep, they're no longer down here. They're in here. So now as we get a little bit older, our breath starts getting up in our chest. And the best way to explain this is, and this isn't meant to denigrate anything or anybody, but it's kind of what I call the Ronald Reagan syndrome, where the chest is sticking out and you're, we got that, and it's all the breath is up in the chest because men are trying to be manly. So we're sticking, we're tough guys. Women, because the air goes up into the upper back of the lungs, start to slouch because the air is getting trapped up there. And in China, they call this, the woman, they call it the turtleback, and they call this one the bird's chest for men. Now, here's what happens. We do this throughout our life. We don't even know that our breath is coming up. We have no consciousness of it at all. Unless you came and listened to stupid people like me. Then you'd, I never thought of that. But what happens is when you are about to die, your last breaths come from here. I've seen it 3 times. I've watched 3 people die, and that's exactly what they do. It's just, they can't, they're just trying to get some air. They die, the chi is gone. That's why the body turns cold. We'll get into that here in a little bit. So Taoists looked at this and they went, well, since I was in my mother's womb, my breath has just went straight up. And when I got to here, it left and I died. Their logic to that was, bring the breath back here, where it was when you were an infant, when you were young. Because that's what Taoism is trying to get us to. It's kind of like this total recall idea. If you do things like you did when you were young, your body starts to feel the effects of youth. Now, again, I'm not saying by practicing your breathing that you're going to live forever. That's a false promise, okay? But you do feel younger. The Chinese have a wonderful greeting, Chang Chang Bu Lao, and it means, may you have youthfulness in your old age. Because there's nothing worse than being old, sick, hungry, broke. It's not a good end. So Taoists were trying to give us some way of feeling our youth within our older years.